Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have an into resin mold and it is their rose mold. So I painted it with the Let's Resin chrome mica powders. I wanted to do a yellow rose because just reminds me of the yellow rose of Texas. So I painted it yellow. I've already started painting it. Otherwise this video would have been super long. So I still have some touch up to do, and I still have excuse me, I still have some touch up to do on it, and I still have some cleanup and stuff to do. So you haven't missed completely everything that I've done. But here's the chrome powders that I was showing you guys, and it turned out super pretty. Or in my opinion, it did. Um, you can't go wrong with roses, I don't think. That was my husband's flower. He loved roses. I loved roses. So, and it, it just made me think of him. When I bought this mold, and I bought it way, several years back. I'm just now getting around to doing one though, but um so here I was just showing you, what all I still had to do, what I did, and now I've just got some cleanup here to do on it. Um, the It's not hard to paint your mold if you just remember that with a mold, any color that touches the mold first is what you're going to see. So just make sure that you know what color you want it and go from there, because otherwise it's going to be what color you put on that silicone first is what you're going to see, because it's going to stick. And here I just had a little bit of touch up that I needed to do from cleaning it earlier. Like I said, I had already started painting it, so here I was just trying to do some more of the touch up that where I wiped it off by accident when I was cleaning. So, and that looked like maybe a little bit that didn't get in there good enough. So you want to make sure that you burnish your mica powders down, into every little crevice and crack and everything in your mold. Some molds are harder to see than others, so just make sure you really get it, down in every little crack and crevice that is in your mold. So everything is painted. There's nothing worse than pulling your piece out and you see spots where you've missed painting with mica powder. Ask me how I know, because I've had it happen to me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just double checking. I'm just going back over it, making sure that everything, is colored in, burnished down real good, making sure I have all those, cracks in those roses completely painted and covered and all that. The stems, of course, they're real easy because you can see those pretty good. But when you start getting into the detail of a rose, it's, yeah, you've got to take your time and make sure that it's all burnished down in there real good. I hope everybody had a great Halloween, and all your kiddos got lots of candy, and it's probably driving all of y'all crazy, I'm quite sure. I know ours, when they go trick-or-treating, yeah, they drive you crazy because they're all sugared up. But hopefully they're not driving you too crazy. And here I'm just still touching up bits and pieces of what I know I need to touch up. And then I'll go back in and, where I've gotten around the outer edge there, then I'll go in. If I got any on my silicone, I'll go in there and clean that up. Now, I will say, when you've got, you know, detail work like this, your best brush is the smallest brush. And it's one that's a little bit stiff, but not too stiff. You don't want it so stiff that it's going to, scratch your mold or anything like that. But like the ones that come in like the little one that I have there sitting on the table, and then the one I have in my hand, you can get those, but they also come in the Let's Resin kits when you buy mica powders and stuff. So you can get those, they come in your boxes. Um, and don't forget that I have discount codes and stuff linked in the description box. Also, my code now to Bondcrafter is working. All of my codes are working. My Let's Resin code is now working. They fixed it. I do believe I'm still waiting on, I don't know if I'm waiting on one more. It seemed to me like there was only two, and one was Bondcrafter and one was Let's Resin. And those two are up and working. Now, it's only on their website, because they say that it's already cheaper on Amazon than it is on their website. So that's why they don't do discount codes for Amazon, because the prices are already cheaper. I know I've tried to get discount codes for Amazon, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. I know there are people that have discount codes for Amazon for Let's Resin products and all that. So I I don't know really. I don't know if I need to go through Amazon or if I actually go through the Let's Resin and all them. But I've done question them. I've done asked them for discount codes, and they're saying that their prices are already cheaper. So I don't know. I will reach out to them one more time. I know Bondcrafter, um, they won't do a discount code, because really the only thing that they have, I believe, on Amazon is their regular cure epoxy, and it is cheap on Amazon. So they will not give a code to Amazon, because I think that's really the only thing that they have on there anyway. The rest of the stuff you have to buy on their website, which I have to admit, though, they're um they're really fast with their shipping, guys. I mean, when they sent me the stuff that they sent me, it came in like 2 days. So Bondcrafter does have super, super fast shipping. So apparently they have a warehouse or something here local in the United States, because it comes fast. And here I'm just cleaning up the mold, and I wipe some of it off, so I'm having to go back in and touch up the green now. But it's, when you do this kind of stuff, you're gonna have, touch up that you're gonna have to do, because you're gonna accidentally, slip, miss, and it hit your color, and then your color, and then and then you got to just go in and do it all over. But it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Usually you don't have a whole lot of touch up to do. Um so it's not really that big of a deal. Now, I do have a couple of other molds sitting out, and I have some more colors sitting out. These were just extras. I knew what the one was, but I didn't know what the other tall mold was. I got that in that great big order that I ordered from Michelle on Glitz and Glitter. She threw that mold in, and I didn't know what it was. So I was wanting to pour it to see exactly what it was. And I just used, a white, because of the fact that, you can't go wrong with white. And I didn't know what it was. So I just I did white. I kind of had a feeling, but I didn't really know. But it's a porcupine holding an apple, and I've seen those uh, figurines on Amazon, and I've seen the actual molds on Amazon. So um, I don't know if that's where she got the side of it to make the mold, but super cute though. Really cute little mold. Um, but that's what the color. The other one is a flower, and so I'll do that one. Those will be pink. I'm gonna do two different colors, and the colors that I'm using in that is the Let's Resin white pigment paste, and then I have two different pinks of the Baltic Day um, pigment pastes as well. So, and then for the white on the porcupine, I don't have, I didn't even put his picture in the ending photos because I wasn't really doing it for anything. I was doing it to see what the mold was. But now that it is porcupine, um, but I'm just using white for that. And like I said, I don't take a picture of that or anything because I didn't do anything with it because I was really just testing out the mold just to see what it actually was. The main focus really in this video is the into resin mold. Um, because I bought into resin molds, oh God, probably right, not soon. It wasn't very long after they had started, um, I guess making molds or whatever. It might have been maybe 6 months or so, a year, and then I started buying their molds. Um, so I've had these molds for quite some time, and I have like a big drawer full of all sorts of molds from them that I bought 3 or 4 years ago. I guess it's about 4 years ago. Because it was just, I think it was just before my husband got really sick. So that was about 4 years ago. So I've had these molds for that long. Um, no, no. Anyway, I take that back. It hadn't been that long. It's been a couple of years because I remember the pumpkin. I bought the pumpkin and I missed last year and the year before. So I've had them for, this would be the third year. So, so yeah, I've had them about 3 years. So, wow. I didn't even know they've been in business that long. It doesn't even seem like it's been that long since they've started in business. But and here I know I'm out of frame. Um, I was having problems with my eyes that day, and I couldn't see very good. So sometimes, with the lighting and stuff, you got to turn it certain ways, so you can see better. And two, on this, I think another thing that took me so long and messed me up because I was out of the Q-tips, the pointed Q-tips that I normally use to get in the little small tight spaces. I was out of those. So that's one of the reasons why I had so much cleanup and so much redo. And so, yeah, it was a nightmare. I didn't think I was ever going to get finished with that little mold. For it to be so small, that little mold wreaked havoc on me. I swear it did. But now I'm just going to I'm going to get all this cleaned up and then I'm going to get out the epoxy. And I am using the J Diction regular set epoxy for this, and I I'm getting ahead of myself apparently because I haven't even pulled it out yet, and I'm already getting ahead of myself. That's the porcupine. That's the rose, or not a rose. I think that's a cherry blossom, is what I think that mold is. But um, that one is in the ending photos, but the like I said, the porcupine's not. You will see it though. If I can remember correctly, it's in the video. Even after I demold it, you'll see it in the video. And here I'm just fixing to pour the resin. Now I do, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I did 5 ounces of resin. So I did 2.5 ounces of A and 2.5 ounces of part B, um, totaling 5 ounces of resin. And here I'm trying to get the lid off, and I am fighting with this lid and fighting with this crazy lid. They have these. You know how you buy a bottle sometimes and it has a lid, but then it has the clear plastic underneath it as well? Yeah. And you know how hard those are to get open. That's what that is. They have the clear underneath, and then they have the white cap over the top. I don't know what the purpose of that is. Honestly, maybe kid proof, child proof, I guess. But, you know, I guarantee you a child could probably open it before I could. So, it's not child proofing. Adult proofing, yes. Child proofing, I guarantee you, them kids know how to get in that bottle better than us adults do. I can guarantee you that. And there, I'm just trying to dig that out because I don't know what was going on. These bottles, every time I go to open them, they do not want to open. To save my life, I can't never get these bottles open. And normally I do use honey jars, but because this, I'm not going to be using this resin ever again, I don't think. So I don't want to waste my jars, you know, to put this resin in there when, I have less than a half a gallon left. So yeah, I'm not going to waste my bottles. Um, because for one, the bottles are expensive, and two, you do have to eventually replace them because you can't. I haven't found any place where you can just buy the lids to fit the bottles. Um, but the little uh rubber squeeze thingy that goes in the lid, it will wear out, especially if you ever put alcohol on it. It's gonna just, yeah, it's gonna crack and everything else. So at that point, you might as well just pull it off because you're going to get it down in your resin and everything else because it's going to tear it. It's going to break. So that's why I just, try not to. I don't use it for anything other than what I know I'm going to continue to use. So for like my good resins that I know I'm going to stay with, then I will fill my jars up. But with this, I'm not going to be filling my jars up. Now, J Diction, though, I will tell you guys, J Diction is a good epoxy. It's not bad at all. Very low odor and all that. But I found that Bondcrafter, to me, sets up better. It doesn't take as long. Now, J Diction takes a while. Bondcrafter, I have found that it doesn't, when you demold it, it's hard. It's not sticky. It's not this. It's not that. Um, Now I've had some from J Diction that have been, and I said I'd never use the product ever again, and I'm here again. I'm still using it, but that's because I haven't, and I've got to get rid of it no matter what. You know, I'm not going to just throw a half a gallon of epoxy out to the trash or dispose of it. I'm not going to do it. And here I'm just putting it on my Resiners dual mixer. I love this mixer. Y'all, I am going to say I had from stirring by hand. Then I broke down because I seen Michelle from Glitz and Glitter using the Estoyo handheld mixer, the little individual handheld mixer. I bought one of those. Well, that thing crapped out in not even 2 months. So, and I really didn't use it that much. And it still works, but you can't get the shaft out. The shaft won't come out. It's, I don't know what's wrong with it. So then I seen a lot of people, I wasn't going to buy any mixers. I seen a lot of people with these sitting around, and I thought, you know, and I kept looking, and everywhere I looked, somebody had one of these mixers, and I thought, that must be a good mixer because there's a lot of people that have them. And I bought it. And guys, I tell you what, I love it. I will never go back to anything else. And here I'm just scraping the sides and the bottom of my cup since I had it in the mixer. Now I do put this through the vacuum chamber. And you'll see why here in a minute. But no, that mixer, it don't hardly incorporate any bubbles. And I'm shocked. And it doesn't matter what speed you put it on, you don't hardly have any bubbles when it's mixing. I mean, you can mix it by hand and you have all kinds of bubbles. The mixer, you have none. I kid you not. I love this thing. If it ever goes out, I will buy another one. I promise you that, because it's just that good. I love that mixer. It's easy to take apart. It's easy to clean. It just, everything about it. I love this mixer. Um, and you know, like I said, I love Bondcrafter epoxy. You know, and I love their fast set. Oh my gosh. And you know, one thing about Bondcrafter that I really like too is they're they're cheaper. You know, you still get the same quality that you get from other places or other companies. You get the same high quality, but for a fraction of the price. And you know, with this craft, you kind of, you know, have to have cheaper is always better, but the higher, you know, quality as well we have to have. So that's what you get with Bondcrafter. You get the high quality, the low price. Not even gonna lie. And I tell you what, since they have came out, they have been selling. I mean, I see a whole lot of people over here on YouTube using Bondcrafter now. I don't hear too many using Let's Resin that much. And Let's Resin is a very, very good brand, but they are a little, they've gotten a little high. They, you know, which we get it. And here's the pink um pigment paste. I'm gonna quit rambling now about all that, but I did want to let y'all know about the Bondcrafter. Not just because I'm an affiliate with them, but you know, and if you haven't tried Bondcrafter, try it. Just buy a small bottle, use the discount code below, buy a small bottle and try it. And you're going to be surprised at the quality that you're going to get for the price that you're going to pay. That's one of the reasons why I chose Bondcrafter. There was a couple of people on there when they first came out. There was a couple of people on there that was doing Bondcrafter. And, you know, One of them is uh oh God, who was it? I'm trying to think. Linda from Linda's Art Creations, or oh God, don't tell me I've done forgot. I am so sorry that I just boogered up your name. Um, it's Linda's Design Studios. That's it. Sorry, Linda. Didn't mean that, baby. I promise. She's the first one that used it, and she was an affiliate with them, and I tried it, and I love it. And here I'm just mixing the pink. I did divvy this up in 4 or 5 containers. And that's because I have different colors going into different things. I have 2 pinks. Um, of course, I have the white, and I have clear, because I'm doing the rose mold, the into resin mold. I'm doing it in clear. I want it super clear. Um, it doesn't look at the end, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It doesn't look clear, but that was my fault because I put in too much crushed crystal. Yeah. And guys, that is a thing. That crushed crystal, I'm telling you, when you think you need more, you need less. And you'll see what I'm talking about at the end, because with them, less is more when it comes to that crushed crystal. It doesn't take much at all, because the more you stir, it starts spreading. It breaks apart and it starts spreading. It's almost like a dust, but in a crystal glittery type way. But the more you stir it, the more crystal you get. So believe me, when they say crushed crystal, they mean crushed crystal, and the more you stir, the more you're going to get. And this is those Baltic Day pigment pastes that I bought here recently. I wish they really came in bigger jars. I mean, because I can buy their um, mica powders, which I have, as you all know. I have bought the mica powders, and I've made my own pigment pastes, and I've gotten bigger bottles than this. So they do have a mica powder, and they do have now pigment pastes out. Um, and I know that that kit that I bought, I think it was 100 of them. It was the biggest kit you could buy, because I really do like their mica powders. And I'm dying for eye candy to come out with, some chrome powders, that gives us gives us natural, regular, everyday colors, you know, that we need, because you don't see very many of them doing pink and, just everyday primary colors. Your blues, your green, your yellow, your pink, your red. You don't see the primary colors ever being used in a chrome powder or an intense or any of that. I mean, and I wished I could figure out how to do it myself, but I still want it to look like the primary color, but to where we can still paint a mold with it. So that's what I'm hoping somebody eventually comes out with, because that would be amazing. because I don't know about y'all, but I don't always like to back my molds in black. I mean, I'm not a black type person that much. I mean, I do like black. My colors are black, pink, and teal. But however, I'm I'm not I'm not all about the black. You know, I'm more bright colors and vibrant and happy colors and all that. I'm not gloomy and doomy and all that sad, you know. And you see how much crushed crystal I put in there? Way too much. Yeah, I didn't even need. I needed just a little pinch, and y'all will see. It's oh Lord. Yep. I mean, I definitely overdid it with the crushed crystal for sure. And it, like I said, it don't take much of the crushed crystal, guys, to um get the effect you're looking for. Because I mean, you can see right there in that cup, and that's not. I mean, there is a few bubbles in there, but the rest of it, that's all crushed crystal. And the more I go in and stir that, the more it's going to break up, and it's going to be really, really glittery. Yeah. So, and this is the white that I just did that what is it's a mica powder that I bought. It's a crystal white that I bought from Amazon. It'll be linked in the description box. In fact, everything that I've used in the video will be linked in the description box. Um, Now my tools and things like that, I don't link them because we don't really have a whole lot of room in our description boxes to link a whole lot of things. And with, you know, all the discount codes and everything that goes in there, it's hard to get everything in, you know, that. So if there's something you want to know about, you know, where I got this or where I got that, you know, a link, whatever, just, you know, post a comment down below and I'll answer you. If it's, you know, whatever it is, I can get it for you. And that's not a problem at all. And here's where I'm putting everything through the vacuum chamber. Um, because I know and I didn't want that rose. I wanted it super, super clear. Just, you know, so I put everything through the vacuum chamber because I didn't want bubbles. None of that. I didn't want none of that happening. And the code appear at the very top, the QR code. That is the QR code to the Buy Me a Coffee and my shop. Um, the shop that I'm going to be linking all my items in is also in with the Buy Me a Coffee. So you basically have where you can do Buy Me a Coffee, which is I don't know if y'all know how this works or whatever, even if you even know what it is, but the Buy Me a Coffee is where you can go in and do like a little donation or whatever you want to do, how much ever you want to give, and it supports the channel. So everything that goes into that goes back into this channel for me to keep making videos. Um, and that's what the Buy Me a Coffee's for. Now the shop is items that I make and then I turn around and sell. Now, however, with all the resin pieces that I'm putting in there, um, that all will go back into the channel. Now, my tumblers and things like that, that is my profit because of the simple fact that I made those when I didn't have a YouTube channel. Um, so as of right now, none of those proceeds will go. Well, I say that, but yes, it will still go back in here because it's a business. And if you know anything about a business, you know all your money goes back into your business anyway. So I don't even know why I'm saying that because yeah, but but everything will literally go to help, support the YouTube channel. Um, because things are getting expensive, and you know and crafting is a very expensive business and hobby. So, I'm just on the side of it to where, you know, um, I've got to start selling some of my items because, I need, I've got to have things that, to put back into the channel. Um, so all the buy me a coffee will go back into supporting the channel. And there I was just pouring it clear, and you can see in that cup all that crushed crystal. It is a lot of crushed crystal. And then here I'm just spraying my mold. This is that it's not a rose. I'm gonna keep saying it's a rose, but it's not. It's a cherry blossom mold, and I love cherry blossoms. So here I'm doing a light pink and I'm doing a darker pink because if you look at a cherry blossom, they are two-toned colored. They do have a darker pink in them, kind of streaked through the leaf. So that's what I was aiming for, and it didn't really turn out the way I had anticipated. But now I thought about painting it, with micas, but it I couldn't get in there in that mold good enough to get every little leaf, that needed to be painted. So I did the best I could, with it, but it still turned out pretty though. It turned out really pretty. I mean, this is a gorgeous mold, even though it's a fondant or candle mold or whatever you want to use it for. In my case, I'm using it for resin, but um, it is a dull mold. It's not a shiny mold, but it did turn out super cute though. Really pretty mold. And I find a lot of these molds that, or candle molds or whatever, they are very pretty. Even though they're a matte, to me, that doesn't bother me. I don't care if it's a matte mold. I don't care if it's a shiny mold. If it's pretty and it's going to turn out pretty, then I'm going to get it. Because, a matte mold doesn't bother me, you know. Now, well, I say that. To a certain degree, it doesn't bother me. Now, little trinket things like this, no, it doesn't bother me. You don't always want everything shiny. I mean, how boring would that be, if everything was shiny all the time and, you didn't have a, a side of it to where you could, it would just be boring. There's a word I'm trying to think of right now. I can't think of it, but it would just be a very boring world if, there wasn't no side of it of options. That's what I knew I'd think of it. Options and choices, we got to have a little diversity in everything. I think I said that right. And here I'm just finishing this mold up. And I did do layers. I did do pink, I did light pink, I did white, and I did the dark pink. And I think what technically what I should have done is maybe not have done the white or the clear, and maybe a little less pink, probably, um, with it. If I would have done not so much light pink, I think I would have been, and then I shouldn't have done this right here. So I think that's what kind of messed my thinking process up. It didn't turn out the way I had envisioned it in my head, but you know, resin does what resin wants to do, and we have no control over that. So it is what it is. So basically, when you pour resin, you are at the mercy of the resin gods, because yeah, that's where you just got to do you some praying, cause and hope it turns out the way you want it to turn out. And I've had a lot of pieces not turn out the way I wanted them to turn out, but and here I'm just trying to get it, you know, up in or down into the mold, and trying to squeeze it to get the bubbles out, because you know, this being a really tall mold, and he is very detailed, let me tell you. So yeah, you want to make sure you have all the bubbles out, and I'm just squeezing, you know, making sure it gets into every little quill that he has in there. And this is a super cute mold. In fact, I had planned on buying the little thing to mold also, and I never did. And but it's super cute, because I already had a porcupine mold, not mold, but thing that I had already gotten. So you know, I didn't need this one, but I really do think he's cute, because he's standing up, you know, and he's got the apple in his hand. He's really cute. I do intend to do him a certain way next time. Um, I'm kind of writing on my molds now, so I know exactly what they are, now that I found a marker that kind of works. I mean, it's still going to rub off, but you can always go back in there and write back on it before it does rub off. I'm using oil-based markers to write on the molds. So, you know, will it rub off? Yes, it's still going to rub off, but, you know, not not quite as bad as what a regular permanent marker or just regular acrylic paint markers do. They rub off real fast. The oil-based, you know, over time it will still rub off, but you can go back in there and you know, put it back on there, because nothing else is going to stick to silicone unless, you know, you have a really good mold housing that, you know, you've got your initials and all that stuff stamped into it. Yeah, you're not gonna get that. um so and here I'm just adding some more white to that, so I can pour into this mold here and finish filling it up. Sorry if y'all can hear all the noise. The kids home. And here I'm just stirring it up and getting it, you know, all stirred up and ready to. Oh, okay, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry. The kid come in from school and we had a dilemma. So anyway, I'm just stirring up this. I've added some more mica powder um, to that clear that I had, so I could finish filling up this mold. I left some clear out because I didn't know, you know, what all was gonna, how much resin I was gonna need. So that's why I set some clear aside, just in case, because I didn't want to color it all of these different colors, because then, of course, I would be, with pink and not have enough for something else. So that's why I left. And it's good to do that. So make sure that, if you don't know how much your molds are going to hold or whatever, make sure you leave some extra resin, you know, because just always that's a good plan to have. Just always set some of your clear aside. Don't color all of it. And that way, what you don't have enough resin for, then you can go in and add your color and then finish filling up, whatever mold you need to finish filling up. I know I need to take that my own advice, because I don't do that all the time myself. I forget. I'm very forgetful. When you start getting old age, and it's just, yeah, we forget things. It just comes natural. Um and I'm just adding more pink to this flower. And then this is my mold for um just extra resin. I'm just going to pour all my extra resin in here, and when it fills up, it fills up, and then that's when I'd usually just, you know, I don't know, we'll do some kind of little something, and whoever gets it right or whatever wins that little whatever it is going to be that I've got filling up there. Um and I'll be doing that, throughout all of my YouTube side of it. I'll just be having an extra dump mold somewhere where I can just pour all my extra resin, that I don't have enough to fill up anything, but don't want to waste it either. So I just finish pouring it into another mold, and then when it gets full, we demold it, and I'll either ask a question, or I'll throw some emojis in, and y'all count them and tell me how many, or we'll figure it out. But and then whoever guesses it right or whatever wins the little prize there. But now granted, it's gonna look like a hodgepodge, you know mashup, because it's gonna have all different colors in it. But some of them turn out super cute though. I see a lot of people that do that, and believe it or not, they do turn out really cute. And here I'm just finishing up my porcupine mold here, so I can get him filled up. But yeah, he is super cute, guys. I mean, he is. And like I said, this came from Michelle at Glitz and Glitter. I want to say there was a set of these little guys. I'll have to look and see, because if it is, I'll get the other ones. I'd like to have these little molds. But then I can mold them, and then I can turn around and, you know, give them away, or, in orders or whatever, or sell them or whatever the case may be. Um, and here I'm just scraping out my cup really good, just to top this mold off. And I will tell you, on handmade molds, you know, 9 times out of 10, you don't want to dome them. But I have found on some handmade molds, you have to dome them. So I know there's one or two that I have that I literally have to dome it, or it's, yeah, it don't turn out right. So um but you usually don't dome them. And here I'm just spraying the tops of them with 99% isopropyl alcohol. um and I don't know about y'all, but the only place I can get 99% is at Amazon. None of our stores carry anything, you know, higher than a 91%. So, with that being said, anything above that, then, I have to order it on Amazon. But that's where a lot of my stuff comes from anyway. Like all of my stirring, all my uh, silicone tools, gloves, things like that. That all comes from Amazon. And I do it that way because they deliver, and I like the black gloves, and these are actually tattoo gloves. I believe they're 10 mil or higher, something like that. And I do that because there was a resin that I was using, and I think it was the Tea Expert, and I had a really bad allergic reaction to it twice. Needless to say, I still have, or maybe I've already finished it up, but yeah, you definitely want to use some good natural gloves. Um, like I said, I use the natural tattoo gloves because they are thicker and nothing's penetrating through them suckers. And since I started using them again, I've used them before, but and then I quit and went to a different natural glove, and that's when I got the allergic reaction. But now that I've went back to these, I've not had any problems, and I have used that resin again. So it's definitely, it was either seeping into the glove somehow or something. I don't know, but yeah, I had a really bad reaction to that stuff. And here I'm just mixing all of the resin up into this one cup, and then I'm going to pour it into that other mold. And like I said, that's my dump mold, so it'll be a hodgepodge colors, but it might turn out real pretty though. Sorry if y'all can hear that noise in the background. That's the little dog eating now. She must be hungry. It must be supper time for her. They usually don't eat till about 6 o'clock, but this little dog here, I swear, to be so little, and she's a little chihuahua that my daughter found. I tell you what, that little dog, she can eat, man. I mean, that little dog can eat. She eats more than my little dog. Well, my little dog, my dog's not little anymore. She's a big little mama. But yeah, this little dog here eats more than my dog eats. She eats sometimes 3 times a day because she's just a little piggy, and she's in here licking the ever little crumb out of the bowls that I don't know. One of them didn't eat today or something. I don't know what, or maybe one did, and I don't know. But anyway, she's over here eating what the other one didn't eat. So don't really know which one ate and which one didn't eat. But they'll get their food again at 6 o'clock. But um, and there I was just stirring up that epoxy and kind of mixing it all together before I pour it into this mold. Um, and it looks like it's getting kind of sticky and gooey, and I don't know why. It hadn't been that long since I um, poured it, so I know it's not setting up, but and it almost filled it up, but not quite. So it's literally still sitting there, and I'm just waiting to do some more videos so I can get it filled up, because I've had what 19 videos to get through. So, and we're just about down to the little nut cutting on the videos, so I'll definitely be filming more here. Probably in the next day or two, I'll be filming some more videos. Um, so I can kind of stay ahead, because Lord, I tell you, doing YouTube is a full-time job, guys. I mean, I won't even kid you on that one. So if y'all are thinking about doing a YouTube channel, don't have a full-time job, because this is going to be your full-time job. Because it is definitely a full-time job. And I only do videos twice a week. I was trying to do them every day. I couldn't, I mean, if I wasn't editing, I could put out a video every day. But, sometimes those videos get up to 2-3 hours long, and nobody wants to sit through that for that long, So I try to keep my videos, under 60 minutes. Sometimes they go over a little bit, but, not by much. But, yeah, I generally try to keep them, you know, less than an hour. So that way it won't, you know, be so long and y'all don't have to fast forward through it, because that messes up the algorithm. Just, it seems like everything messes up the algorithm. So, if you don't comment, you know, and looking at the statistics and all that is crazy. But it just, it is what it is. But, and here it is time for the demold. And here I'm just cleaning off my molds before I demold it. Now, those hearts up at the top, those are just some mica powders that I bought from Eye Candy, and I'm trying to make me like some little swatches to put on the little individual bags, because I didn't buy the jars, I bought the bags, because I bought the sample kits, because I didn't want to buy the jars unless I liked them. So, and that's what I was doing with the hearts, and I need to finish that. I still hadn't finished all my swatches for that. For my micas, and I need to do that for all of my mica powders, really, instead of, I did it for all my glitters. I have swatches for all, probably 300 or 400 glitters I have, but I do have swatches for every one of those. I just don't have it for my micas, but, and that took a while. Really, it did. That took quite a while to do. But, um, like I said, here I'm just, I'm cleaning off all the molds with, uh, painter's tape, and then I'll do. You can also use packing tape, also, um, to clean your molds with, and it works better than the painter's tape, because the painter's tape is not, it's not very good to. It takes too much of it. And then here is, and you will see how much crushed crystal I used in this. And yeah, see, I'm telling you about it right there. Yeah, it it was way too much. I put way too much crushed crystal, and I knew better. I knew better, but I wanted it sparkly. Well, it got sparkly, but as you can see with this mold, because it is a matte mold, it's dull looking. It, that's just the way a dull mold is. It's not going to be shiny, you know. Could I put a top coat on it and make it shiny? Probably I could do a flood coat. But then if I do that, I'm going to mess up the pattern of the rose. And that is what I didn't want to do. And then there's the flower, and then there's the little porcupine up there at the top. But yeah. So with that being said, it is, you know, it is what it is. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.